market, I think the ultimate goal, or LSCFT, is through this process of bringing all Africans to trade and integrated economy for Africa. Now this is a long shot, this is a long journey, and it will mean a lot of things. First, as we all know, the bigger the market, the bigger the opportunities for anybody trading in that market. And I believe, therefore, there is an opportunity if indeed this market works for us. But our fear and our concern, and this is why it is important to discuss it here, is that will the market work for all of us? Will it work for all African nations? Will it work for all African people? As I said before, even as we stand here, the Nigerian economy is not inclusive. It's not for everybody. You know? Even the border closure was not inclusive here. So clearly, one of the things we have to do is to ensure what we need to do to make this market, whether you're looking at the Nigerian market or the African market, to make it inclusive, to make it work for everyone, to make it work for every nation, and to make it work specifically for Africa and Africans. Now, when people talk about trade, it sounds like something new. But, you know, Africans have been trading for centuries. We've been trading among ourselves because I have a friend whose grandfather used to travel all the way, sometimes on foot, from Kano to Senegal, only for trading. Now, but Africa has also been trading with other nations. As you know, centuries, what have we been trading in? We were trading in exporting labor or labor-creating materials and importing finished goods. Now, when you export slaves, because that's what we started many centuries ago, you are exporting people who, the labor that will go and actually create the goods and services that we will later import. So we are exporting labor, and when you now import the products that that labor created, what are you doing? You are importing things that you will consume, and most of it you will now waste. So at the end of the day, because when you consume and waste, then what you have reduced the value of your assets, whatever they are. And so you basically have imported poverty. And that's what we've been doing most of the time. We export jobs, because when you export raw materials like cocoa and groundnut and so on, you export cheap raw material that will be taken abroad and be converted into higher value products by adding value, by creating labor, and you import them and you consume them. So again, we have been exporting labor, exporting jobs and importing products. And this must change. And the only way it can change is that we transform our economy. And this economic transformation must come first and foremost through creating the industrial capacity that will enable us to do the conversion ourselves, to add the value ourselves, so that we can either among ourselves exchange and import and export value-added products, or if we are exporting abroad, we are also exporting value-added, and therefore we're not just exporting jobs and importing jobs. That is why it is important that we all understand and do it together. And finally, 1 minute, Mr. Chairman, how do you achieve this inclusivity? The inclusivity that we need, because everybody has a role in it. We have to get our investors to invest and bring in the capital goods that will create the necessary factories and equipment and machinery that will make our textiles products competitive. We must also create the capacity to organize these activities, the capacity to manage these processes, and the capacity to produce the kinds of goods and services of the quality that we can now compete anywhere, irrespective of who is importing, who is importing. And that means the government, the importers, the investors, the factory people, the management, and the workers must work together. And that, to me, is the element or the essence of inclusivity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think you could give him another round of applause. We have common practical issues. So, thank you very much. I wish that we have more time because we only allotted 2 hours. And I hope this are not going to be disputed on let me formally recognize your presence. I was looking and I realized that you are around. Education in the House of Representatives. Let me invite the young man who should give us a greater insight, Dr. Onoho Umhen. Go give me. I can pronounce that
to Excellencies, distinguished comrades, and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I thought Comrade Governor having come on and stayed for 8 years should know some of the donates. Honorable men is my name. It simply means, let me put it in Nigerian jargon. Anybody that is looking for what is good will eventually find it. Congress, while we are sitting there, the Deputy President of Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Amici Asubuli, came into the hall. I imagine that because it's very much, we didn't quite recognize him. Comrade President, welcome, sir. And our Comrade General Secretary came there, Comrade Barrister Emmanuel Boacha, the General Secretary of Nigeria Labour Congress. They are my bosses, I have to recognize them before they do anything here today. Comrades, I will plead your, I will seek your indulgence to be a bit scholarly. It's not long I came from the university, and I have 10 minutes. I'll try to do those in 10 minutes. I'll try to do this scholarly excursion in 10 minutes. We are a bit concerned about a few things that are on the African continental free trade area. But there's a scholarly insight into this. And many of you are going to go away with certificate, so let's give you a little bit of pedagogy this morning. The African free continental free trade area will represent a dream come true, because the founding fathers of Africa are all undivided that the future of Africa laid in economic independence and access to the common market in Africa. The situation after achieved a kind of degree of optimism. The Article 2 of the Organization of African Unity Charter stated two very fundamental things. One of them is economic cooperation, including transport and communication. Now, I'm happy that UNIDO is involved in this program, because UNIDO some time ago did a study in Nigeria about uneven industrialization in Nigeria. They actually called the study the uneven industrial development in Nigeria. So when we deal with the issues of inclusivity, industrial development in Nigeria is also not inclusive. However, there has been the rapid deindustrialization of Nigeria, and for those of you who are also interested in the politics of the case, the father of Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, worked on this area, and his name is Douglas, he's still alive, was a professor of economics in the US, on his return to Jamaica. He worked on the area of what they call uneven development. That's a little bit of a technical area, that development is uneven. So when you talk about sustainable industrialization or inclusive industrialization. What it means to me is simply this, that industrialization in Nigeria is the Gogori to deal with unemployment crisis our country faces. Industrialization in Nigeria is the easiest way to the modernization of Nigeria. Because Nigeria is driven by multiplicity of modes of production. Because Dr. Masu Ahmed related something to slavery. Perhaps he is aware that slavery still exists in Nigeria. Perhaps people are aware that we still have feudal relations of production in Nigeria. Perhaps you are aware that we have communal relations of production in Nigeria. And to worsen it, capitalist relations of production in Nigeria is struggling against these other relations of production. Capitalism is not particularly performing too well in Nigeria. So industrialization is the key to sort out modernization in Nigeria, to deal with unemployment crisis in Nigeria. I'm also concerned by the methodological divergence when we deal with the after. And I'm also related to the lack of a consultation that attended the discussion about after in Nigeria. When after was being discussed in Nigeria, there was this false assumption that the implementation of it will not create tradable or non-tradable goods. Dr. Ahmed may not be aware, in the National Action Committee of AFTA, which Congress asked me to represent our interest, we have had to fight to ensure that man is also called into champions of those work streams. Well, that might find having a too successful because workers have not been called to participate in that process. Well, I hope that Dr. Masu will join me in the next fight. That after in Nigeria is a three-party affair. Yes, we need government because we need interstate relations in dealing with after. But the workers pay the goods that will be traded. And the manufacturers, the organized private sector that organize the industries where we create the goods, and we third party to that. We hope when the three of us work together, we'll make after to fulfill the objective for which all of us desire that we should do. I will take a little bit of a scholarly excursion in a few areas that I think will interest you. So some of you are going to do certificates. That area is that when we deal with free trade in the world, global free trade, Africa is not doing too well, even with Africa coming on stream. Because we start as things stands today, the largest free trade area by GDP is Asia, with $31.5 trillion. This is followed by North America with 24.4 trillion, Europe 21.7 trillion, South America 3.6 trillion, and Africa is 2.4 trillion in terms of GDP. We can intellectualize a little bit. What is responsible for that? The basic explanation is this. The structure of the economy in Africa is still dominated by primary production, petty commodities trade. So, whereas, for example, in the whole world, the percentage of agriculture is 6.4%. The percentage of industrial production in the whole world is 30%. But in China, agriculture to industry is 7.9% for agriculture and 40.5% for industry. In the European Union, it's 1.6% for agriculture and 25.1% for industry. The United States has a very interesting example. it has 0.9% of people in agriculture and 19.1% in industry. If you take these figures and compare it with what we have happened in Nigeria, you will see a fundamental challenge. And that's another challenge that despite that Nigeria has the largest economy in Africa with the last replacement exercise, we have a huge segment of the population, a very strong youth segment of the population, like in Nigeria, under 60, any Nigerian that is under 60 years of age represent 85% of the total population. But if you take the average youth percentage, the youth segment of Nigeria, in relation to resource endowment, represent the future of Nigeria. Nigeria's future does not lie in oil, does not lie in solid mineral. It lies in the people of Nigeria. And it lies in the youth segment of Nigeria. If Nigeria must be transformed, Dr. Masi Ahmed made a point of transformation. We need to capitalize on the energy of our youth, on their resourcefulness, on their broadness of vision. We are not doing our youth a favor when we say we will create employment opportunities. No, we actually need them to generate the wealth that will sustain us when we grow old. So, if you look at the Nigerian structure of economy, by 2019, Nigeria's manufacturing of value-added production is just 20%, 12%, like about 12%. Now, you can compare this with South Africa. South Africa also has 12% manufacturing to value addition. However, South Africa is better industrialized than Nigeria. Now, if you compare other African countries, Algeria has 24% value addition. Egypt has 16%. Morocco has 16%. Tunisia has 14%. Even the Republic of Benin has 10%. So if you see the huge segment of the youth population and you see the value addition, you can see that we have a major crisis in our country. I will just round up by giving you some perspectives. The hopes and impediments in our society is that we require a better trained workforce in deal with the sophistication of production. I can put it in a very simple technical language, but let's put it today. The intensity of labor in Nigeria is lower than that of Morocco, it's lower than that of Egypt, it's lower than that of Algeria, it's lower than South Africa. And the simple reason is that we are not industrialized. It's not because our workers are lazy. We are not mastering the most useful skills, the most modern skills of production. We are losing them. Even the little we have, we are losing them. There is a prevailing dominance of rent collection instead of production-based activities in our economy. The means of production of our country, even the few industries we have in Nigeria, are being dominated now by foreigners. Take Nigerian breweries, take Guinness, take Unilever, take Cadbury. I do not want to offend my friends. Take Dangote. The faces you see other than Oshiomole are foreigners. Something is fundamentally going wrong with our own economy. I will need to seek the opportunity of after to correct that. There is also the rampant casualization and deunionization practices in our economy. But the literature on this is very simple. Countries that have unionized workforces produce better than those that casualize labor. It's very straightforward thing. Because it is easier for you to deal with unions than to deal with individuals in the production chain. There's also the case of gender-based violence and harassment in the world of work. The objectification of the female body. And you know what is rampant in our banking industry. You ask a young girl, you dress her fine, you give her a car, say, go and bring 1 billion naira at deposit. One of us, that labor is also casualized. Now that the country government has asked me to run up, Let me just conclude by saying that we are happy at the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, but we hope we will deposit that instrument of ratification very soon with the AU Secretariat so that Nigeria can play its role. Now, there's one fundamental issue that should be of interest to workers in this context. Nigeria has lost out the headquarters of AFTA. We also lost the Secretary Generalship of AFTA. Now, if we don't get into AFTA early enough, some of those key positions will also lose them. So I hope we'll deposit this instrument of ratification early enough so that we can play a full role in AFTA. We also need to ramp up the economic and production enterprises of our country. We need to lift them up, even by the bootstraps. And the future of Nigerian workers, need to be equipped with new competitive skills to place Nigeria in a good step to compete within the West, within this broad African Continental Free Trade Area. I'm sorry, I used to be a teacher, so I took quite much of the time, but I thank you. I hope you found something to say about that.
All the time the NC are moving about, so they take it fine. Many belong to my club. We have an auditing rule that we don't interrupt our program. Practically soon. We have 2 more interventions. And we'll try to stick to these 10 minutes. It's not quite realistic, but that's the time we have. Dr. Chikwe, give back. That is Director General and Nigeria Center for Disease Control. I think you must have been told that some of you are not very serious. We have again, last but not least, Dr. Daniel Olorusho, Chairman, Textile Manufacturers. Also, the DG has covered it very well. All right, and this that brings us. All right, I'll be directed to invite the representative of Nigeria Customs Service to share some perspective in 10 minutes.
Other members of the Nigerian. Permit me to lower down my mask so that I will have to talk. The comrades down the ladder, I'm also with you for the purpose of clarity. I am Yuki Mohammed, Acting and Assistant Controller General of Customs, in charge of enforcement, investigation and inspection, representing the Controller General of Customs, and I'm currently retired. It is my pleasure and privilege to present this paper on the theme combating smuggling and other cross-border vices. This is most appropriate in line with the anti-corruption stance of the federal government and its drive to block revenue leakages expand and maximize sources of collectible revenue, reduce our dependence on oil, and diversify the economy. What smuggling is? According to the legal dictionary, smuggling the criminal offense of bringing into or removing from a country those items that are prohibited or upon which customs or excise duty are not being paid. While cross-border vices relate to criminal activities between different countries or involving people of different countries, such as illegal migration, etc. Customs administration all over the world exists principally for three basic functions, namely revenue generation, stock collection, trade facilitation, and anti-smuggling operation. In these treatises, we shall be dealing with effective anti-smuggling across the land, sea, and air borders. Cross-border smuggling is endemic in many border communities, but more can be done to mitigate the risk and the harm caused by smuggling of drugs, weapons, people, and other illegal goods. Effective anti-smuggling is predicted on the following parameters or factors. 1. Introduction of new surveillance technology and communication gadgets such as aerial drones, scanners, sniper dogs, etc. Officers have power of police officers. Section 18 powers to restrict the movement of goods into and out of Nigeria by land, air, or waterways and avoid customs stations. Section 24 power to prohibit goods from being imported. The power to detain ships and aircraft. Section 40 is power to forfeit goods improperly imported. 47 penalty for improper importation of goods. Cross-border smuggling and initiative by the Service Program. As a revenue collection and security agency, the success of the Nigerian Customs Service in the performance of its statutory function is important to the growth and the development of the national economy. Areas of cross-border violence. These cross-border smuggling crimes are fixated on illegal trafficking in drugs, persons, artifacts, and antiquities, small and light weapons, prohibited goods such as textile materials, via land by illegal routes to ferry across by vehicles, motorcycles, animals, or food. Airports through airplane, cargo, etc. C. Riverine areas by coastal ships and boats. The adverse effect of cross-border crimes on the national economy include defeats government plan to boost local industries, foreign exchange actually leads to loss of jobs, less revenue available for citizen welfare, infrastructure, and national development, a reduction in government's ability to provide funds for national security, a reduction in public trust and confidence in Nigerian society to deliver on its mandate, a reduction in the voluntary compliance with council laws and regulation, and the paralysis of local industry leading to low staff morale. It affects government ability to achieve its fiscal policy objectives. Enforcement and the implementation of land border closure. The Nigeria land border was effectively closed on the 20th of August 2019 due to increased smuggling, influx of bandits, proliferation of small and light weapons leading to the rise in general insecurity in the country. The operation called the name Excise Sweep Response or Border Grid, headed by the National Security Advisor and comprising military and paramilitary personnel, was mandated to secure the borders. It has recorded tremendous progress, but not without some challenges. Implications. The border closure presents a positive implication on the country's economy as well as its citizens in the following ways. Improve control of import, resulting in revenue rise and the ease of data collection for the purpose of planning and development. increase in production and consumption of local goods, thereby enhancing federal government policy on agriculture. Suppression of smuggling to the DRS minimum. It is on record, no country in the world has ever stamped out smuggling entirely. It can only be brought to the DRS minimum. Given an opportunity to set a new template with the event of opening, sequel to the resultant decongestion brought by the closure, which according to one of the speakers is likely to come very soon because of the agreement on African free continental trade. Expected realization by the affected neighbors on the need to respect the signed protocols. I remember one of the speakers was talking about non-implementation of agreements. Improved security of the nation border as well as general insecurity, as it has helped to check cross-border crimes with small and light weapon proliferation now being contained. Operation Swift Response or border drill provided a platform for interagency collaboration, reducing in fuel consumption by 30% as record increases daily revenue by the customs. Initiative to block smuggling and cross-border vices. The Nigerian Postal Service is committed in its function on trade facilitation, revenue generation, revenue transparency, and anti-smuggling activities in line with the World Customs Organization revised Kyoto Convention. A few pointers to reduce these illegal activities are listed, but not limited. 1. Intelligent gathering. This is so useful and effective that some people think that the entire business of anti-smuggling can almost depend on it alone. This is because smugglers are not strict, but human beings like us, and therefore live among us and do what they do in the same society that we all live in. We can therefore engage in serious intelligence and uncover every move they make and apprehend them anytime, anywhere, provided we have reliable information from well-motivated and wise informants. Unless people in society choose to aid and avoid smuggling, otherwise it can always be totally erased through this method of intelligent gathering. Article number. Whether it is on land, sea, or air, we need enough trained officers and men to engage in effective smuggling, anti-smuggling. All the times, adequate deployment must be made. The officers and men deployed must be conscious and dedicated, and above all, they must be moved by patriotism and zeal to succeed. Adequate, effective arms and ammunition. The anti-smuggling squad must be properly and adequately armed, preparatory to engaging with the smugglers. Anything short of such preparation is disastrous, as smugglers are usually known to be deadly armed themselves. When officers have such adequate and effective arms and ammunition, their morale is boosted and they can confidently engage the smugglers. Adequate vehicular logistics. Anti-smuggling vehicle must be effective and tailored to the needs of any given environment or terrain. Four-wheel drive vehicles are usually recommended, whether it is sandy terrain of the northeast, northwest, or the muddy and waterlogged terrains to the south, southeast, and southwest. Such vehicles have auxiliary gears and can go anywhere. The vehicle must be driven by expert drivers. Proper motivation of the workforce. The workforce here simply refers to the officers and men who engage in war with the smugglers. These officers and men need to be properly motivated in terms of their salary and allowances. They need to be properly and adequately insured against the risk they take. When they sustain injuries, they must not be abandoned. They must be catered for properly to assure them that government values them are ready to assist them when assistance is required. In case of death, the family and the other dependent of the deceased must be taken care of. In this way, officers can go to any length to fight smugglers. Effective government policy on the disposal of seized goods. Bringing seized goods to the customs station is a difficult job, especially when huge and extensive seizures are involved. There must be well-defined, effective, and just policy on the disposal of seizures brought to the customs station. They must never be handed over back to the owner because of societal status.
1 minute.
Worse still, such behavior weakens the morale of the officers. What government policy on seized goods says must apply. Arbitrariness in the handling of seized goods must be avoided. Everybody must be treated equally provided a case of smuggling has been established. Collaboration with other agencies closely tied to the issue of intelligence gathering earlier discussed, that is, of collaborating with stakeholders, whether it is at the border, seaport, airport, there will always be other agencies of government. If cordial relationship is established, there will always be effective collaboration leading to the apprehension of all non-criminals. This will be easy. The other agencies are also government agencies carried out similar assignments. Adequate constraints, sanctions on proven cases for smuggling. Needless to say that smuggling is a heinous crime against the national economy, and so it will need to be adequately punished. Are you, as the SEMA, as the chairman, going to address some proposal stipulation found in the SEMA of the 1958 edition? There were cases of 1 naira, 2 naira, 60 kobo being stipulated as fine for smuggling. Such amounts are being removed and replaced with good sum of money, which make good sense as punishment for being caught in the smuggling act. The various terms of imprisonment for smuggling cases are also, all these will act as deterrent and raise the profile and effectiveness of practice smuggling. In conclusion, the judiciary, it is of course good news that smuggling cases do not go to magistrate courts. They go to only federal courts, where we expect incorruptible judges to hear such cases. Past dispensation of justice is also expected in these courts.
You can't finish with it.
Well, in conclusion, sir, Nigerian Postal Service and Communication Squad cannot be effective unless the Nigerian private factor is in this option, and there is every need to do this and realize for the cardinal purpose, which person administration the world over, and Nigerian Postal Service in particular exists. Thank you for listening.
You're welcome. I try to make sure that custom people don't engage in smoking of time. I think we've had a very interesting conversation. I guess we didn't want, or there's one Momo Ewan, who at the time is representing the small, medium enterprise director, managing people that. So Momo in the house. So Momo, you have just 5 minutes after you are medium or small scale. Just 10 minutes strictly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and other distinguished panelists. I thought it would have been forgotten, but I thank God for the call right now. My name is Monday Aluewans. I'm representing the Director General of Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. I'm the Director in charge of Enterprise Development and Promotion. Of course, when we are talking about AFCFTA and COVID era, we are referring to micro, small, and medium enterprises. When we are talking about the continental free trade area, we are talking about how our small businesses can benefit, how our small businesses can enter this market, improve their turnover, improve their businesses, improve themselves, and also contribute to national growth and development. And even the COVID-19 and the post-COVID-19 is also affecting small businesses in Nigeria. So whatever we're talking about today, the bottom line is how to improve and support small businesses to grow their businesses, be able to empower themselves, create more jobs, create wealth and educate property in our society. So everything we're talking about is about MSMEs. And I want to tell you the truth, that whatever we need to do to achieve inclusiveness, to achieve sustainability in what we're talking about, it is the small businesses that will do that. If you don't have a business, you don't have any business in the AFCFTA. If you don't have a business, though COVID-19 is affecting everybody, but it's more intense in the lives of small business owners. And of course, what are these small businesses, for instance? Of course, from student perspective, there are micro, small, and medium enterprises, and those are these businesses that employ between 1 person and less than 200 persons. And then, in terms of asset base, those businesses that have asset base of between 1 naira and less than 1 billion naira. Of course, micro enterprises are those ones that are the small of the small. They are craft fryers, the mechanics, and so on and so forth. Of course, these are the people that employ less than 10 persons and have a salary of less than 10 million naira. And of course, if you look at the statistics in this country, the last survey we did in 2017 in partnership with the National Bureau of Statistics, we discovered that there are about 41.5 million MSMEs in Nigeria, and out of them, about 41.4 million are essentially micro enterprises. I've defined it already, which means the space is occupied by micro enterprises, which is about 99.8%. And of course, anything we need to do to improve this subsector is to empower these micro enterprises. And of course, I'm sure members of the Union of Textile and Garment and Tailors are also micro enterprises. Enterprises are running micro enterprises. So, whatever we need to do to empower you as individuals, to empower you as business people, in order to take advantage of the continental free trade area and so on, must be done. And we're saying, this set of businesses, there's some good news. From our own perspective, federal perspective, and from the federal government perspective. Let me take the federal government perspective. You might recall that the federal government came up with the National Economic Sustainability Plan, and it was essentially geared towards supporting small businesses to go through COVID-19 and then post-COVID-19 era. Of course, there are 4 platforms on this economic sustainability plan. One is to restructure the existing loans of small businesses so that they will be able to have opportunity of making use of this loan and turning it around. Secondly, is to give them a reasonable, a favorable interest rate for the loans that they have right now and the ones they're going to take. And then thirdly, to support payment of salaries for their workers, because most of these small businesses were effectively affected by COVID-19, and then we need to pay salaries so that their business can be sustained. And then finally, to support their markets, to make sure that their products are sold in terms of guaranteeing uptake. Of course, right now, the federal government has come up with 75 billion naira, what they call survival fund. And this survival fund is targeted at making sure that about 500,000 MSMEs are supported, and about 333,000 artisans are supported. It's in the news, so you are aware of it. So what means we're encouraging everybody who have a small business to latch onto this support and be able to support yourself and business. Of course, those people that are interested in getting this support should log on to the website www.survivalfund.gov.ng www.survivalfund.gov.ng. If you log on, you can follow the directives and be able to apply for this fund. It is real. People have been accessing it and it's supporting them in their businesses. And of course, in Asmedan, we have other programs we are doing to support small businesses to make sure that they are able to stay in a position to access CFTA and also support them go through COVID-19 era. Of course, what are we talking about? Issues related to giving small businesses information, building their capacity in terms of entrepreneurship and professional skills training, in terms of making sure that we encourage clustering. We also do what we call public and policy advocacy on behalf of small businesses. And of course, most importantly, facilitating access to all those resources that will make sure that small businesses are in a position to improve their businesses, start a business and improve their businesses to achieve the overall goals. Of course, in this direction, there are some of our programs we run from day to day to actualize these mandates. One of them is what we call the constitutional grant scheme for micro enterprises. Of course, if you look at the statistics I just read out, we say that there are about 99.8% of micro enterprises in the space. So the conditional grant scheme for micro enterprises is essentially to target and support these micro enterprises to grow from micro to small to medium and then to large enterprises. What do we do under this program? We build capacity of small business, because we know that skills is very, very key in whatever thing you're doing. Of course, some people will say, give me the money. My major challenge is access to finance. Of course, we are saying access to finance is key, but it is not the main thing. Now, we might give you all the money. If you don't have the skill to manage this finance, the money will develop wings and run away, and you start wondering where the money went to. So we place so much premium on building capacity. Capacity is key. You drive new knowledge, you drive new skills to drive your business. In fact, the book written by Joseph Cover, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he calls it sharpening the saw. You need to sharpen your saw, you need to gain new knowledge, you need to gain new skills to drive your business. Even those of us that are in the textile, garment, and tailoring business, you know that you need to be improving your skills to be able to compete effectively. Of course, it's important to know that if you are not competitive, if you do not have the skill, there's no way you can benefit from this free trade area. It is not possible. Of course, I'm even pitying our small businesses in Nigeria, because there are a lot of challenges that make them not to benefit from when our doors are thrown open. Because all manner of goods from other African countries that have infrastructure, that are competitive, that are in a place to produce goods at a lower cost, will come and take over our system. And that is a big challenge for all of us. That is why it's important right now to find a way everyone must support small businesses to improve their capacity, improve standards, improve their quality, so that they'll be able to compete against other countries when this AFCFTA comes into force in January 2021. Of course, we are saying, I'll talk about CGF for micro enterprises. We build capacity, which is very, very key. We provide information. We register small businesses with Corporate Affairs Commission, which means we formalize them, because in most cases, if you don't formalize small businesses, they will not be in a position to benefit from public goods and other government interventions. So we do that. We also open bank accounts with them, and then, most importantly, give them a grant of 50,000 naira to help them support their businesses and go to the next level. And of course, we don't leave them at that point. We make sure that we follow them up with what we call business development service, which includes things like M&E, impact assessment, and so on and so forth. Of course, as a date, we have done 16 states, where more than 30,000 MSMEs have been favored, and then we are still going forward to make sure that we can go through the whole states and make sure that a lot more small businesses are able to have access to this support. Of course, the other program we run as FEDA is called One Local Government, One Product Program, which is a program that is targeted at organic clusters across the expectation that we're going to go to each of the 774 local governments. As of now, we have done about 250 local governments, and then we're taking it at the level of sectorial districts across the country, 109 sectorial districts across the country. But definitely, we're going to go through the 774 local governments, targeting organic clusters that are into agro-related products. Of course, what we do in this program we also start by building the capacity of these organic clusters, organic entrepreneurs, because, like I said, skills is very, very important. Apart from that, we also give them workspace, because if you run a business, if you have issue with workspace, then you don't have a business. We also give them equipment, and then we give them working capital. And then in the working capital arrangement, we give them the money, and they pay back 70%, and then we take 30% as a grant to support them and run their business. And finally, we also support them with BDS, which means we do not follow them. We do not leave them as they run the business. We follow them to make sure that the knowledge, the equipment, and resources that come into their purview are put into the business to be able to run it effectively. Of course, there are a lot more other programs, but time is of essence. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much.
Well, I think the panelists deserve another round of applause. And the different speakers are brought in different perspectives, and I think for those of you who are listening and taking your notes, it's a lot for you to chew and to reflect on. The chairman just told me that the president just told me that since you have given so much food for thought, then we may have to manage the time for your lunch, so you have enough to chew already. But this is a matter whether to be debated or to be decreed, the president will decide. But let me just, I have listened and I want to share my own observation, and the president has agreed with me that we should allow the floor to participate in this conversation so that it doesn't become one-sided and monologue. Let me start by saying something about myself. As president of Nigeria Labour Congress, I went to